Chosen one, listen quietly. There was a time your life was full of noise, opinions everywhere, advice from every direction, expectations pressing on you from people who thought they knew what was best. Voices telling you who to be, how to act, what to choose, where to go. And for a while, you listened. You tried to follow guidance, tried to meet expectations, tried to keep everyone comfortable. But somewhere along the way, your own voice became harder to hear. Your instincts grew faint, your clarity blurred, your peace felt distant. And you didn't even notice when it happened. Because noise is distracting. Noise feels like activity. Noise feels like movement. But noise also drowns truth. So God did something that felt uncomfortable. He reduced the noise. Conversations faded. Opinions stopped reaching you. Certain connections drifted away. Distractions lost their hold. At first, it felt empty, too quiet, too still, too unfamiliar. You reached for the noise again, checked for validation, searched for guidance, looked for reassurance, but silence remained. And slowly, something began to happen. You started hearing thoughts you had ignored, feelings you had suppressed, truths you had postponed. In the quiet, your discernment sharpened. You began to notice what felt right instead of what sounded convincing. You began to recognize peace instead of pressure. You began to trust inner clarity instead of external approval. That silence was not absence, it was restoration. God wasn't taking voices away to isolate you. He was removing interference so you could hear clearly. Because the next season of your life requires decisions that cannot be made by committee. It requires discernment, conviction, inner steadiness. And those things grow in quiet, not chaos. You didn't lose connection, you gained awareness. You didn't lose guidance, you gained clarity. You didn't lose direction, you found alignment. Now notice the difference. You pause before deciding. You sense before reacting. You listen before moving. Your choices feel calmer. Your steps feel steadier. Your peace feels deeper. That is what happens when noise fades and truth becomes audible again. You don't need constant input anymore, because now you can hear yourself. And when you can hear yourself, you can finally hear God clearly too. The silence was never empty.
Chosen one, stay with me, because this part explains why the quiet felt so unfamiliar, even unsettling at first. You had become used to noise, not just sound, but constant input, advice, opinions, expectations, reactions. You were surrounded by voices telling you what was right, what was wise, what was expected. And slowly, without realizing it, you began measuring your decisions by volume instead of truth. The loudest voice felt most convincing. The most confident opinion felt most correct. The most repeated message felt most real. But loud does not mean true, and repetition does not create alignment. So I removed the noise, not suddenly, but gradually. Certain conversations became less frequent. Certain influences lost their pull. Certain distractions no longer satisfied you. And at first, the silence felt uncomfortable, because silence removes distraction, and distraction protects us from what we don't want to face. When everything became quiet, you noticed things that had been buried beneath activity, unresolved feelings, unanswered questions, unspoken truths. You couldn't outrun them anymore, and that was intentional, because clarity requires confrontation. You cannot hear truth clearly if your attention is always divided. So the silence began doing its work. You started noticing the difference between peace and pressure. Before, pressure felt like urgency, something to act on quickly. Now, you recognize pressure as a signal to pause. You started noticing the difference between intuition and fear. Before, they felt similar, both intense, both emotional. Now, you recognize intuition as steady and fear as chaotic. You started noticing the difference between guidance and influence. Guidance feels calm, grounded, clear. Influence feels loud, persuasive, urgent. These distinctions are subtle, and they can only be learned in quiet. That is what the silence was teaching you. Discernment. Discernment is not loud, it is precise. It does not rush, it recognizes. It does not argue, it knows. And now, something inside you has sharpened. You no longer react to every opinion. You no longer absorb every emotion around you. You no longer feel responsible to responding to everything immediately. You pause. That pause is power, because in that pause, you listen beyond noise. You feel beyond impulse. You perceive beyond appearance. This is what happens when the mind settles and the spirit becomes audible. You are learning to trust what is steady, not what is intense. Intensity fades, truth remains. The silence also revealed something deeper. How much of your life had been shaped by external expectation? You had learned to anticipate reactions, to predict approval, to avoid disappointment. But those patterns were not guidance, they were adaptation. And adaptation often silences authenticity. So I removed enough noise for your authentic voice to resurface. At first, that voice sounded unfamiliar. You questioned it, doubted it, second-guessed it. But the more you listened, the clearer it became. Your natural rhythm returned. Your real preferences surfaced. Your genuine convictions strengthened. You were not becoming someone new. You were returning to someone original. The silence didn't create you. It revealed you. And now, something else is changing. Your decisions feel simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You no longer need endless confirmation. You no longer need multiple opinions. You no longer need constant reassurance. Because clarity reduces complexity. When you hear truth clearly, decisions align naturally. You don't feel pulled in opposite directions anymore. You feel centered. That centeredness is the result of quiet. And here is why this matters for what's ahead. The next season of your life will require independent clarity, not isolation, but inner stability. There will be moments when no one else understands what you sense, moments when external voices conflict, moments when direction must come from within. If you were still surrounded by noise, you would miss those signals. So I trained your ear. I trained your awareness. I trained your ability to distinguish peace from pressure, truth from urgency, alignment from influence. That training happened in silence, and now you carry it with you. You no longer fear quiet moments, you use them. You no longer seek constant input, you seek resonance. You no longer depend on external clarity, you recognize internal confirmation. That is maturity. That is spiritual listening. And when movement resumes, and it will, you will not be guided by noise. You will be guided by knowing. The silence did not empty your life. It tuned it. And now you can hear what matters most.